Good evening. Welcome to another episode. We are back. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. Please do share. Please comment any questions you may have. Tonight, we have got Nick Ronald. How are you?
Yes, good. Yes, good to be on the show as always.
That's good. We've got Tammy back. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Adam? Good to be here.
I am doing fine. Rocky roads, but we keep going, don't we? We keep going. And obviously, I don't know where Richard and David are. I've just messaged them to say, basically, get your ass here. So, our guests today, we have got Allyson Bontempo. Please tell me I've said that right. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think people overthink it. You know, it's like Bontempo, like good time, and like people overthink it. Yeah.
What a good name.
Well, save everyone and time to obviously for me to get the bio up. Tell a little bit of people about who you are, what you do, and how you kick ass in life.
So I am currently a postdoctoral research fellow. I received my PhD in health communication in 2023. And I did part of a PhD prior to that in clinical psychology, studying anxiety and depression. And so a lot of the work that I do still comes from the clinical psychology field, many related concepts. And so, my primary area of interest is really this concept of invalidation, of emotions, of symptoms, moving into the healthcare context. But, something that's always kind of stuck with me since starting out in clinical psychology is these expectancies for the experience of negative emotions. So, expectations from society, from close others, etc., that, actually does have an impact on our mental health beyond what people are already experiencing. And it just is something that I've written about. I published a paper on it in the context of gynecologic cancer. This you have to be positive kind of attitude from support people of patients with gynecologic cancer. And then just over the years, just always seeing signs, whether it's decorations or different things, mugs, when you go shopping or even just on social media, these things, whatever it is, saying, good vibes only, or stay positive, or happiness, you choose. And I don't think it's that simple. So that's something that I would like to continue to study, especially. I'm in the transition now where I'm currently applying for faculty positions. So once I have a little bit more autonomy, I'm really hoping to delve into that kind of research as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And host Dave Carson.
Hey. Do you know what? What an evening. It's been amazing. As in really, I'm saying that because it's a positive thing, isn't it? So I've had a few problems with my camera, yeah? So if it goes off, you know what it is, but it should be fine. How is everybody? You all good?
Yeah, we're good.
I'd like to see smiley faces.
I can't believe I had to message you saying basically get your ass in here.
Do you know what? What happened was, yes. Anyway, I'm here. That's the most important thing. With you lovely people.
How are you, though? How are you?
Really good, actually. Really good. I know Nick. Nice to see you again, Nick.
Yes, good to see you again.
Two ladies, but high anyway. But all is good, Adam. You know, life's flying along like a jet plane, enjoying life, being joyful, being happy. That's what it's all about for me, really.
It is.
Loving life. Heaven on earth, mate. Heaven on earth.
Absolutely. And obviously, as Allyson rightfully stated about negative emotions, that's what we're going to be discussing tonight.
Absolutely.
On how we can use social expectancies for our experience with negative emotions. And I think we all experience them. Even now we experience them. So first question off the get-go is, besides trauma, because that's the easiest solution there, why do we have negative emotions?
Gosh, that's a big question, isn't it?
That's loaded.
Good question for a big show, mate. Come on.
Well,
Out in here. Come on.
Absolutely. Negative emotions are normally a result of very poor programming.
Okay.
I'm big on self-talk, inner dialogue. I think it's so important.
According to your post, yes.
Yeah, imperative that if you're ever working with a client, you've got to look at their internal dialogue, because if you help them with an issue and you haven't helped them with their layers of programming, they're going to be back again. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Isn't you think of, you can't have a good without the bad. You can't have happy emotions without negative emotions. I think that's something about life is full of.
It's interesting you say that, actually,
both, and I think it's impossible. You can't just. I think you have to be sort of. I think realistic that you can't always have just a happy emotion, because everything is about balance, and to an extent. To have the good, you've got to have the bad, in whatever context.
Well, I must be weird then, because in my experience of life, it's a whole lot of good. So the way I see life is things that I previously perceived as bad and awful. I see them for what they truly are, which is just things happening, and it's just the emotion I attach to it. So these are the sort of things I try to sort of, share with people who I work with and stuff. It's a perception. So, but don't get me wrong. Obviously, we all have things that happen in our lives, but it's how you interact with those things, and how So, I like to think that we're all like captains of our own ships, if you see what I mean. We can make it easier. I'm not saying we don't experience bad things, but you can sort of make it a bit easier. What do you
think, ladies?
I think you have to distinguish between negative emotion and negative experience or negative mindset, because you can definitely have a negative emotion, sit with it for a minute, learn how to emotionally process it, and then deal with it and move on, and it doesn't get stored as a negative event. But having a negative mindset, that's what I kind of look at, kind of more what you were. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I don't have a negative mindset. But if something bad happens, if I stub my toe and break 3 toes, oh yeah, I'm going to be negative for just a minute. And I'm going to be angry, and I'm going to be mad, and I'm going to be sad, and those are all negative emotions. But it's moving on past them. You're going to have them. Things in life happen, and if you break your foot, you're not going to be like, oh, that was so cool. What did I learn from that? I just think you have to distinguish a negative emotion. They're going to come, and they're going to come all the time when things happen, but you have to process them and put them in their own little, and then deal with them.
I think you're absolutely bang on there. And I think the point here is how quickly you get over these things, so you can get back into a state of balance.
Well, I think it's also not only how quickly, but how deeply you experience that emotion, and to what degree, if any, does that impair your daily functioning, right? So like if you're like kind of living in that emotion, kind of like what Tammy was saying, I think that's when it can kind of become like pathological. But, if it's something that happens, you experience it, you don't get stuck in it, you move on. I think that is a healthy, natural response to.
Well, what I'd like to know is, because I've been just thinking what Tammy was saying, we have to distinguish between negative emotion and a negative experience. But isn't everything an experience anyway, whether it's shit or good? It's an experience anyway. It's just how we react and deal with these things is the real question.
Yeah,
I suppose I don't know if it's 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 like about what's sort of a not appropriate of a word, but so if something sometimes it's appropriate to be sad or it's appropriate to be angry. If something someone treats you badly or treats someone your family badly, you might be angry or sad, and that's appropriate. But if it goes on for days and days, you still feel angry or sad, then maybe that's not, I don't know, appropriate. So I think it's about whether you're I think you said reacting or experiencing emotion in the moment, and then whether you're keeping that, and that's then defining defining your mindset, as it sort of evolves in that way, if it's going on for a longer period. Something there.
Yeah.
I think you've also got to contend with the unconscious processes going on. Like if you're on a field when you were a little kid and the dog came running up towards you and it scared you, 30 years later you're on a similar field and the dog's running towards you, you're probably going to get triggered. So it's like it's an interesting one.
But
I feel like if you're a child and that happens and somebody walks you through it right then and there, and you get to feel that and then get past it. I call it everybody walks around with this invisible backpack, and it's all the negative stuff that happened that you weren't allowed to talk about, or you weren't allowed to deal with, or you just stuck it behind you, and it's going to come bite you in the ass one day, somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, that's called karma. No, personally, we don't always get that, do we? We don't always get to talk through it and understand what's happened and everything, and it just gets processed and stuck in your nervous system or whatever happens to it, and get triggered later on. But I think education is important as well. Sorry, Adam. By the way, guys, I'm a Gemini. Yeah, we talk a lot.
Now I know where my daughter gets it from, because she was yeah, she was born in June. There you go.
There you go. Anyway. What date was it?
5th.
Oh, it was the 10th. So.
There we go. Case closed. But anyway, right. Let's talk about our own experiences with negative emotions, because I know we're doing it. Tammy, I want to start with you. How did you deal with your negative emotions?
Up until about 26, I didn't. I stuck them all away. I was, something really, it could be something horrific. It could be, my foster sister shooting herself, and someone would tell me, just get over it, deal with it. You're fine. So, I literally was not allowed to process any negative emotions. So it destroys your sense of identity, because you don't know what you feel. I remember going to a therapist and them saying, well, how does that make you feel? Like, you should be angry. And I'm like, feel? What does that even mean? So I was about 30 before I really started even knowing what feeling an emotion, being allowed to feel an emotion, felt like. And that's who I work with now. I work with all those people we're told, suck it up, buttercup, you're fine. You could have it so much worse. Other people are dying in India. Like, why are you complaining about this? You were not allowed to express anything. And it's detrimental.
Wow. Okay. Nick?
Yeah, I think there's having a good, strong, healthy mental health is being able to express, accept and acknowledge, and at times express negative emotions. I guess, definitely. I have, struggled at times to my, when I was up to my, my 20s now, and younger, to share, negative emotions I was feeling. I tend to keep it within myself. I think it's that balance really between, obviously we want to be optimistic, we want to be happy and positive, and I think that's, it goes without saying that's what we're kind of all doing that one. But balancing out, I think for me, it's at the same time balancing out with that sort of times, being realistic, and that incorporates a bit of not pushing in the pursuit of happiness, not pushing down, repressing the sort of any sort of perceiving negative emotions. It's because it's healthy to sort of share them or with and acknowledge them. So it's good.
Yeah, I deal a lot with first responders and that have PTSD from, and I don't know how many times they've said to me, when I picked that little baby out of the pool and they had drowned, if I could have just stepped behind the building and bawled my eyes out, my whole life might have been different. And these are 300-pound guys who were told, be stoic, don't cry in front of them, don't do this, and you see it. It's not just kids, you see it all over the place.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Allyson?
Yeah, for me, I guess, in terms of my own negative emotions, I'm a very sensitive person. So growing up, I felt things quite strongly, good and bad. But in my 20s, I really struggled with physical health conditions, which actually was having a direct impact on my mental health as well. And so, I really struggled. That was kind of my biggest hurdle in my life, as it had been. What happened was I started, seeing a therapist and, talking through kind of my experiences. And I had felt my family is very important to me, my immediate family, especially my parents. And so talking to them, it was always, especially my mom, my parents' gender roles are kind of reversed when it comes to, my dad's kind of the empath and my mom's kind of the fixer. And, so I got it mostly from her, but, just like, this like, oh, like, you don't, invalidation of my, emotions, kind of, what Tammy was saying, just like, don't, but, when I was in therapy, it taught me like to say, I started noticing, then I started saying to my mom, I'm allowed to feel these emotions. I said, these emotions are appropriate. And then it just kind of became like an internal dialogue that I had and became kind of part of my own mindset. And that's what I try to practice still today.
Absolutely. David.
Oh. Well, personally, when I was growing
I love you, really.
I know you do, Adam. When I was growing up, I wasn't in the greatest family environment. It was very negative. So I grew up feeling a sense of worthlessness, no confidence, no self-esteem. I didn't have anything. I went through my life attracting people like myself, got involved in crime, drugs, and everything else that you can get involved with when you don't like who you are. And for me, it was education. I was fascinated with psychology, and that sort of made me realize that there was a different way. I took steps to learn to express what I was feeling and understand why I was feeling those things. And it's been a quite a long journey. I think in a way it's affected me now in the sense that I'm always striving to be a better version of myself. And I don't think that's a bad thing. So if that has come from my experience of life, then I'm quite happy. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I may as well share my experience here.
Hey!
I thought, why not? Well, obviously, for people that know me, I was brought up in a toxic environment who basically influenced me to abuse, become toxic, and basically abandon every expectation there is. And that's why I turned to drink. But now, obviously, I'm off that, and how I'm dealing with the negative emotion is basically stop giving a shit what people think, because what I've learned is what people think of you, if they want to think about you, that's got nothing to do with you. You just focus on being you. That's what I've come across. But I'm probably wrong. Everyone's got their own experience. But yeah, that's mine. Just have no care and just focus on living, rather than letting life live you. Or if you're not living, then someone else is going to live life for you. And yeah, there's no guarantees that's going to be healthy. So it is. You just have to just monitor what you got to monitor what life you're living and the people around you, because some negatives can be positives, if that makes sense. And welcome, Richard, finally. but yeah, so having some negatives in your life is positive, because we can't be positive all the time. But you just have to just be cautious about who you're letting in your life. Because I don't know about you guys or anyone in the comments, but I'd rather have people lift me and support what I do rather than beat me down when I'm already down. If that makes sense.
It's interesting. I think it comes out where the negative emotions come from. I think, from what you said, I think one of the most empowering things is to not let other people's comments or behavior or whatever affect your own self-belief, and just and I think so myself, I my first father left quite young. My second father died of cancer, and I lost a lot of my confidence, and then I went to school and I was bullied quite badly, and I think I define myself, and lost, by what other people, treated me, seeing me, and saying to me. And I think it took me a lot. Like you said, I had a moment when I was in my 20s where I suddenly realized, like you sort of said, Adam, that to sort of not care what other people are saying or you think they're saying, and that's the most empowering thing, to actually say, well, do you get your negative emotions letting other people give it, or you you can create your own negative emotions yourself. You don't need help from other people, kind of thing. I think it's very empowering to actually realize it.
Mr. Richard Kaufman, I've just got your message. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And I'm sorry for being late. If I got to log off, it's because I'm driving my son back home. So.
Okay. You know what? You may as well share as well your negative experience while dealing with negative emotions. How did you deal with it?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what the hell's up with his feed. I think we've got a storm above us. I ain't got a clue. But yeah, right. Because we're dealing with negative, we're talking about social expectancies for the experience of negative emotions. That's what we're discussing. So, how did Mr. Richard Kaufman deal with his negative emotions?
Well, I mean, I deal with them every day. I'm just like everybody else. But I also know that negative emotions and positive emotions can't occupy the same space at the same time. So if I am having a negative emotion, I reach down in my pocket and grab my gratitude list, start reading my gratitude list, and I can't be grateful and angry at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what was life like when you wasn't positive and you were just all negative? Because that's all you know. Because that's our upbringing, isn't it? In a nutshell, for people that was in that toxic environment, that's all we've known is negative and nothing positive about that. So how did you deal with that?
Well, I used to pretend to be positive. I wasn't positive, but I would pretend. So, I mean, even though I was feeling negative, once I turned the switch on, now I'm Mr. Positive. And I think there's a lot of people that have taken their own lives because they pretend to act one way when they're inside they're actually feeling a different way. So that's the way I felt about it. I felt negative, but I always acted positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And if any of you 5 people, I had to count them. If any of you 5 want to ask anyone anything, you're more than welcome to.
No, I was just actually just going to make a comment that that can be incredibly isolating. Feeling the need to kind of hide that on the inside and not feeling like you can't talk to anybody about it. So in addition to having those negative emotions, now you're also dealing with this sense of isolation, which I think can kind of compound whatever it was that you were feeling initially.
Yes.
And it's a snowball effect, because then you've got the guilt and shame about being a fraud and being a fake. And there's like all kinds of different, I could go on and on and on. This is one of my biggest topics, just because I feel like if you teach kids at a very young age, things are going to happen. Things are going to make you angry. It's okay to sit with that emotion, to feel it for a minute, be angry. But then, like Richard said, look at that gratitude list. That is done now. Get back in the present. Now what can we do to cheer ourselves up, and what can we do now that we felt that emotion? Kids stay in it. And like Richard said, I was the same way. If you had looked at me as a kid, you would have thought I was the happiest kid in the world, but I was crying inside, baby. I mean, crying, and nobody knew, so nobody came to rescue me. And so it's a long road. But if you teach kids that they can feel that it's okay, that emotions are normal and part of life, they'll do better.
It's interesting because it's also about social expectations, and I had my 9-year-old son staying for the last couple of weeks, and at the last, because he doesn't normally live with me, in the last sort of night he was here, got quite upset about going back home, leaving me to go to his mum, and he was talking, he'd been quite honest and talking about things. He was quite upset, and then the next day he was sort of apologized to me, saying, "Oh, sorry, Dad, he's only 9. He was saying, sorry, I hope I didn't upset you. Sorry for getting upset last night." And I was like saying, well, no, you should, you should be able to talk if you're upset, and definitely to me. But I couldn't believe that he was, sort of apologizing for expressing a genuine emotion, and to his, his father's dad as well. But so even at his level, obviously had some sort of social expectation that not to talk with him. So that's quite, so it just shows.
See, that's interesting. I have to pick up on that, because we do the opposite with our kids. Obviously not the young gun. We do the opposite because, for example, if they're being negative towards us, whether it's like name calling, being violent, like verbally, we actually get them to get hold of, we do the glass method with them. And for anyone that doesn't know it, I'll explain it. It's basically they get the glass and they smash it. They just smash it on the floor, and basically we tell them to start calling them names and stuff like that, which they do. And I'm like, all right, apologize. So they do. I'm like, all right, are they fixed? No. That's exactly what happens with us every time they call us names and stuff like that. We may look fine on the outside, but inside we're shattered because we can't be fixed.
So you use a glass breaking as a way of demonstrating. Okay.
Yes,
I've not heard that. But
yeah, it's a glass method.
Interesting. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, because people get shattered on the inside, but we don't show it. Don't show it, and that's what I think Dave was saying earlier. How we don't always have the opportunity to express how we're feeling.
No,
we don't.
I don't think in some ways there's much difference between children and adults. I mean, I think we sometimes think children, children are one way, because they're young, but then we learn to get adults. But I think in many ways, often, we exhibit the same behavior patterns. We don't all as adults become more mature and wise. I think we certainly in sort of emotional intelligence, even I think as adults, a lot of time as adults we express the same challenges as children do. I think that's
yeah. So go on, Allyson. What do you think of that strategy, doing the glass method?
I think it's interesting, especially, as someone who does kind of study communication, that those hurtful messages have like a real impact on us, and even like physiologically, like they change, like like our can change, our physiological functioning, and so. I think it's, I think it's a very clever way to, especially when you're dealing with kids, to be able to demonstrate to them quite exactly what happens, and that, it's not just something you can just take back, and then everything's just good again, right? You can't erase history, basically.
Yeah, well, it is because, like, obviously, my eldest is 13, and obviously the other one's 12. But when I was that age, and I don't know about you guys and gals, but I didn't know what mental health was at their age. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, when I saw a therapist in 2008. That's when they mentioned about mental health. I'm like, all right, okay. So I was 17 when I found out what mental health was.
Can I just say also that this is one of the biggest problems is education, like in schools, colleges.
Come on, Dave, you're getting me started, buddy.
No, mate, I know, but it's true, because you give someone the child and they've like did the right things with that child. At a certain age, they could be like geniuses. They could be anything, but we're capable of being anything if we're sound mind, obviously. And it's education. You just don't, well, I'm not aware of it in the UK that much. Anyway, I don't know about America or Canada or whatever, but education is the key. And we don't seem to be doing it. And it's ridiculous. What would you rather learn, algebra or emotional intelligence?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's skills like resilience or emotional intelligence.
Like that, because you're going to get me started, Dave.
I've got to tell you all as well. I've just had the worst bout of cramp on the planet, so I was trying to like sort my cramp out. That's why I disappeared for a minute, but it's all good now. Okay, sorry.
So Richard, go on. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm older than all you guys, so I don't know about the glass
come on,
method.
you have to throw the age card at us, didn't you? Come on.
But when I was growing up, my parents had the kick your ass method. And that was, if I talk back, I got kicked. So for me, I got 3 children, and now it's more of trying to talk things out and trying to use EQ more than IQ. I think in schools, like you said, they should definitely teach EQ more than IQ, because you can teach anybody hard skills, but you should really try to be teaching your kids the soft skills.
Yeah, like personally myself, I teach my kids techniques, EFT, lots of different things. So they have the opportunity, if they come across something that they're finding difficult to get over, that they've got tools to do that. And going back to what you said, Adam, years ago, right, we didn't have the internet. And since the onset of the internet, there's everything on there anyone could ever need to help themselves, So there's lots of resources nowadays, not like in the old days.
I have to put it out there. I have to put it out there live on YouTube as well, live on Facebook. Is thank you, Richard. Thank you, Dave, for making us feel old. Thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure, Adam.
But I think also, to Adam's point, is a matter of knowing that mental health is a thing. And, you know, so like, what is that cue to action that's going to, you know, get someone to go on the internet and start, you know, looking around and seeing what's on there. So even with the resources, I think it takes a second to really appreciate your own situation and realize when it is that you need to be utilizing those resources.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Tammy?
I'm sorry?
What do you think?
About the glass method?
Anything.
About,
What's been said about,
I'm still stuck on this glass method thing. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. No, I agree. You know, just even going back to the glass method, I wouldn't do this in my classroom. You said this was something that teachers did. I would have never done that in my classroom because I was always about trying the best I could to stop the action before. So like I would talk to my kids every morning and we would be like about emotional intelligence, like literally like, hey, we feel something. When we're getting ready to say something, just count to 2. Just count to 2 before you say something back because you can never take those words back. So if you just take a breath, count to 2, and then think about what you were going to say, so many of those things get avoided. But I would have probably never done that, honestly, with my kids, because then what does that kid do? That kid that gets no support. Again, I'm looking at it from the perspective that 1 out of 4 kids go home to addicted parents. Probably 2 or 3 out of 4 go home to emotionally unavailable parents for whatever reason. So they don't get to talk that out, and they are going home shamed, feeling horrible, feeling bad about what they did, and adding another layer of guilt and shame to their already shame spiraled trauma world. So,
okay. Well, I want to add to that, and I want all your guys' views on this. I'm going back to Dave's view as well about the education. Like, he's triggered me to talk about it now, so thank you for that. And right, what pisses me off about this, and I'd like everyone's views, is people need to remember, like parents and schools need to remember, parents need to stop blaming the schools for the failing of the kid. The schools need to stop blaming the parents for the failing of the kid and actually look physically, mentally, psychologically, and spiritually and emotionally what is going on for that child to behave the way they are. That's what they're doing. But they don't, because there's all this tick for tack point scoring.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You know, I think most people and even children, you know, they know, you know, right and wrong. So if they're saying something, I don't know, nasty, you know, or do something else, they generally know that's not a good thing to do. They know it's a, and I think there's not many. I think many children, because I've worked in schools quite a few years, and there are not many children who do something nasty to another child, and not aware that it's not a good thing to do. So I guess it's why you know, why are we doing that, and you know, obviously why is everything, you know. So I remember there's one child at school you know, and I'd started the school, and he wasn't very nice to other children, a bit of a bully, quite young, but then, you know, they explained that you know, his parents split up, and he was staying with his father who'd just got another girlfriend, and you could sort of not excusable behaviour, you could just straight away understand. So I guess it starts with understanding a lot of these things, you know, whether it's children or adults, you know, why do people, you know, behave in a certain way. I guess that's sort of a key thing. I mean,
yeah, as Stephen's just put in the comments now, blaming doesn't solve anything. Taking accountability does.
Yeah, just briefly finish on what sort of was. So often when a child does something, certainly in a school, but even with my own son, you know, it's sort of saying, you know, well, you know, do you think that's a good idea? You know, clearly, you know, why did you do that? And then, do you think that's a good idea? And obviously, getting them to say, you know, back, you know, why they did it, and also why they obviously wasn't a good idea, gives them a bit of while they say that, it gives them a bit of accountability. But, you know, because then they can, you know, they're saying, well, yeah, this is why I did it, and yes, I know it's not a good idea. So I guess it's, you know, yeah, taking accountability for those actions is quite key, really.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we do, is we take accountability for our wrongdoings, and that's where the healing journey is created.
I think also, like the idea of the idea of attachment theories, where you've got secure attachments, all the different types of attachments, all depends obviously on the primary caregivers that give you, whether they give you that emotional and physical needs that you need. And if you're not getting that, and at a young age, you're already on a ropey path. The fact that from the age of 1 up to about the age of 7, our brains, the brain waves are very similar to the brain waves of hypnosis. So most kids from the age of 1 to 7 are actually in a state of hypnosis for those 6 or 7 years, and they're absorbing everything. So if your primary caregiver is like, shut up, I don't want to hear you, you're useless and all that, I think it actually stems from that. And again, that's education. It's education for the parents. We don't get a book telling us how to bring the kids up. And if the pressures we have in life today on parents anyway, besides having the kids, it's no wonder why you go on the slippery slope and you start developing negative ways within yourself because of your programming, basically.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah. Richard?
I agree. I agree with the gentleman just said. That your kids are only going to act the way that they see you do.
We can't hear you, brother. Can't hear you.
Well, I'm just saying that the kids will see what you're doing and they mimic what you do. Like, I have a daughter, and she always sees me kissing and hugging her mother, telling her I love her. So that's what she's going to expect from a man when she gets older, because that's what she's seen growing up. So don't get mad when your kids are acting out when you're acting out in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Exactly. As Stevens put, I was influenced by my peers, parents, and my environment. We can overcome anything if we decide to change.
Yeah, it's like what Allyson said as well. You've got to be at that point. You've got to be at the threshold for that change. And that's when you normally start looking for help, really. But there is a stage before that where you might be like lost and you're just, it's not good, not a good place. And I wanted to say, you are who you associate yourself with. You are what you read and all that sort of stuff. So if you're not in the right environment, the right people, then, it's even harder.
I guess it's having a role model. And I think, obviously, for children, having a positive, inspirational role model, but even think as adults, we need, having a role model, whether it's a role model in the social group we're part of, people we look to and say, inspire us and motivate us. There's not be one person who's super successful. Like you say, just surround yourself with people who are all role models, and you say, I want to be a bit more like, my friend here who's, so kind-hearted and generous. I want to be a bit more, I think it's having role models and being role models as well. But I think, often if you're a lack of people to inspire you or people to be role models in life, then that can often hold you back from making that decision to make those changes.
It really does.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with younger children, or children, I should say, although I have a lot of teachers in the family. So I hear a lot about that between the school and parents. But I've taught during my PhD. I had a teaching assistantship, and so I was teaching a upper level college course, and so mostly juniors and seniors in college. And even with them, like, they're probably at the point where they're like more ingrained in kind of their own like thoughts, behaviors, patterns, things like that. But it made me realize how much of a problem it even is for individuals at that age. And so like I started off every class, I had a slide, and, you know, it would be like a tidal wave of all these different things, and someone like looking up and like, you know, just expecting. And I would say, you know, I know it's hard to talk. If you need to talk, you know, to me, if, you know, need accommodations, you know, having that open dialogue. And then also I think, again, a little bit different from children that you're talking about, but I think there's this, well, actually from talking to my brother, it seems like that pressure is there even in middle school from parents, but this pressure to be perfect and to get into the Ivy League school and to do everything. So, you know, on my course management sites, you know, I had a little image that says progress over perfection. And so, again, I don't know that we're going to change anything just because, you know, most college students are really more set in their ways probably than children, are less amenable to change. But, you know, I do what I can to, you know, not just say, hey, here's the counseling center if you need something.
And I think that's half the battle, because so many of us, like so many of the college professors, they're all in the same world. They're all in the reactive world. So like you doing what you can, you never know how many people. It only takes one comment. It only takes one person to say the right thing at any point in your life, and it literally will flip your entire life. Because
I mean,
you don't know what you don't know. So the more we can feed it. I mean, I wrote a book called Identifying and Empowering the Disconnected Youth in the Classroom, and it was ways for teachers to do like whole group things without having to call people out and helping the people that were struggling. So, it goes to adulthood. It goes right into adulthood. Our leaders need to do that. Our leaders need to stop being so judgmental and look at how we talk to people and be a little more empathetic and realize that 3 out of 4 people walking around have a negative self-image.
Can I just say what you said there, Tammy? I mean, this is just an average, but they say the average person has between 10 and 60,000 thoughts a day. And they say that 80% of those thoughts are negative. And they also say 95% of the 80% of negative thoughts we have are repetitive. So, like, that ain't a great start, is it?
No, I mean,
but Dave,
go on.
When it comes to statistics, they're always a year off.
Yeah, probably. You can never be precise with those things, but I know that this study was done in the States. I don't know how they came up with the figures, but the average child in a reasonably positive household was told no, or you can't, at least 140,000 times from when they were born up to the age of 18. Again, lack of education. You know, it's like, what a great start. You know.
All right, and then explain this then, because, and this is to anyone, I've actually made a mistake. But what I'm trying to say is I'm teaching my kids how to build that self-resilience. And when it comes to when they get told no, half the time they know it means no. But I also taught them no means next opportunity. Have I made a mistake though in teaching them both?
It is a tricky one. You've got to reframe it somehow so that, you know, that's got a positive aspect to it, I guess.
What do you think, guys?
Sometimes you've got to say no. If your kid's going to put the hand in the fire, you've got to say no to them. Otherwise, you'd be a bad parent. But I think, you know, there's other times when you say no to your kids where it's maybe not appropriate.
Yeah. What do you think, ladies?
Nick, go on.
Yeah, no, I worked with a child this last year who wasn't happy at all, very sort of angry if anyone said no to him. And obviously at school, certain times the teacher or myself had to say no if he was behaving badly, and he just did not like it at all. And we tried to explain that there were times when parents or teachers had to say no. And I think, that, it depends on the context, but I think, for, it's all our rights to say no to other people at times. It's an important right we have, and as well as saying yes. And I think, children as well have to understand that through life, there'll be times when people say no and people say yes. And I think, I think it's this, it's part of your emotional intelligence, emotional maturity to sort of to see that, that's part of, I think if you fear saying no or because you're, then I think that can be
that sort of comes into boundaries as well. Do you think? Because I don't think we've talked about boundaries yet. And a lot of us, we're put in situations and we say, oh, yes, okay. But inside you're like, I really don't want to do it, But there's this like this shame attached to it, this social shame, if you like, that you should really, you should be like a helping or whatever. I can't quite explain it correctly, but boundaries, healthy boundaries.
That's the word that came up for me. That's the word that came up for me when you were talking about the no thing, was just boundaries. So whatever they were, whether they were safety boundaries, whether they were your time and space boundaries, whatever you needed at that time, those are boundaries. And kids need to understand that everybody has them. They can get mad for a minute, and then they need to move on, and they can explain why they're mad, and you can tell them why you're still not getting what you want, but it's boundaries.
And that's how they learn. I mean, if you say no to my child staying up till midnight, he's only 9, he doesn't like it, but then he has to learn that if he stays up all night, he'll be tired the next day. There's consequences to every behavior, good or bad. And when you say no, you're trying to, I think, instigate better behavior for them as well. There's benefits to saying no.
Absolutely.
I think as long as you're following through with either an explanation or something. Like, I don't know how many, all I heard all my life was, I would say, can I do that? No. Why not? Because I said so.
Exactly that. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about.
Like 10 years old, I wanted to throat punch someone. Like,
for most of my life, I was actually the person who said yes to everything and to everyone, and just did not have like the assertiveness skills that I needed. And it actually wasn't until I was forced into advocating for myself in medical situations where I learned to be assertive, and that kind of ended up generalizing to other areas of my life. And then I was like, it just felt like a load off. It's kind of like freeing, and to not have that guilt associated with saying no too, I think is so important. But it's something that took me a while to get there, and unexpectedly, just through life circumstances, I got there. But to everything, it was like, yes, I'll do this. Yes. That
must have been a nightmare, Allyson. Gosh.
I don't, since I was young, for most of my life. And then probably once I got into my 20s, then that's when, my medical issues started, and I started advocating for myself because I didn't feel I had a choice. But that's really when things started to change. So it's liberating.
Because that's the work. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, you carry on, Tammy.
No, I was going to say that's good, because that's the work we all do, because that's what it is. That's the trauma response. I either feel safe, and yes is a safe word. I don't get in trouble when I'm safe. Or you need the validation and you want people to like you. So you become a people pleaser.
Absolutely.
People think it stops at fight, flight, freeze, and it doesn't. There's fawn. And that's right in there with it. And that's just a people pleaser. And that's part of the process of the trauma.
I love the way Allyson got that insight through something that could be perceived as bad, like physical problems or whatever. But I always like to think that whatever's going on, however bad it is, there is some beauty in there somewhere, and something we can get from it and take with us and move on and be better versions of ourselves. So it's really, really good.
So,
I was like,
yeah, go on, Allyson.
Go on, Allyson.
no, I was just going to say the first few times I said no, I was just like, who is that?
Right.
Brilliant.
Final thoughts.
Woohoo!
Final thoughts. If you could give one statement to your younger self that is feeling negative, wants contemplating the worst of the worst, or going into addiction, whatever, what piece of feedback would you give them?
Well, I personally wouldn't change a thing. Absolutely not a single thing, because everything I've experienced in my life has brought me to this moment now, which is great, a great moment to be living in for myself personally. That could change, obviously. So yeah, I wouldn't change it. But what advice? Don't know really, actually.
I always give the good questions, don't I?
I don't know. It's like,
No?
probably, yeah.
All right then.
Allyson, what do you
Richard?
think?
Richard, he's still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I would probably say that it's okay not to be okay, and that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Tommy?
I think I would say that no matter where you are at, kind of like you said, is just look at everything in life as happening for you, not to you, and you will start to flip the switch and just know that you're right where you need to be, and you can choose to walk forward, and every decision needs to be, I mean, ultimately we're all looking for peace. So every decision you make going forward should be to guide you towards peace.
Absolutely. Nick?
I think something along the lines of, not worrying what other people think or say. We all have, things. I think, don't worry about what other people say. Life's full of challenges, and
Allyson?
It's okay to things to be hard.
I would say I'm gonna steal what Richard said is it's okay to not be okay, but then also it's not selfish to focus on yourself and your own needs, which I think for most of my life, younger life, I had felt. So
I agree. Yeah, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay. And if people like that,
that's perfect. Yeah,
I love that.
Reach out, because people are there waiting for you, but you have to make that first approach. It's that simple. Whether it's a call, text, email, FaceTime, whatever. Yeah. So, Tammy brought up a word earlier, identity, and that's what we're going to be discussing about next week. Same time next week. Are you on, Richard?
I'll be here.
Same time next week, 8 p.m. UK. We are going to be discussing the different roles we play versus our own identity.
Interesting.
That is an interesting one. So, the last piece. Where can people find everyone? Nick.
Well, if you Google me, I'm here lots of times. If you, I'm on Facebook, Nick Ronald, LinkedIn, Nick Ronald. So if you reach out, or hello@nickronald.com is my email. But yeah, any of the social media channels, follow me, message me, and I'll always get back to you straight away.
Absolutely. Yes. Allyson?
I would say my LinkedIn account, and then I haven't really been using Twitter or X, and I'm trying to grow my Instagram presence professionally, so people can find me on there.
Dave.
I like the way you say it like that, Adam. Well, people can find me on freedominduk.co.uk is my website. Free the mind. Let's free the mind.
Richard.
They can find me at the Vertical Momentum Resiliency Podcast on 35 different platforms. We're everywhere, so just find us. And I'm inviting each one of you guys to be a guest. Adam, you've already been a guest. So I'm inviting all of you to become a guest on the show.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Tammy.
Mine is either Linktree, which is just T Vincent, or my website, which is just my name, Tammy Vincent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So on that note, we want to say thank you. Nick, don't go anywhere, but obviously I know tomorrow is your birthday, your 21st birthday.
21st again.
Yes. So
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
I know.
Birthday,
I
Nick.
know. See, we're proud of this. We're always ahead of time. There you go. So, hey, come on. In Australia, it's already your birthday. So there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
So, right, we'll end this now. Everyone, please share. Please subscribe. Over the weekend, I will be downloading it as YouTube clips, YouTube shorts, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and there you go. And if I can tag you in it, I'll tag you all in it. So we'll see you next week.
Fantastic.